What's up guys, mtga Mardu back with another video, and today I have a really juicy deck for you that I'm actually pretty proud of, and this is mono white control mid-range. It's definitely more in a control-y way, but the Brothers War really added some new tools for mono white, and I really like that because usually I do not play mono white because mono white is just mostly white weenie strategies and I'm just not really fond of them, but the Brothers War gave mono white a lot of really cool new powerful tools that can actually make for a really good deck. And I built this deck right here, which I had in about like 60 to 70% win rate in platinum rank. And I also took this deck actually into the standard metagame challenge, which is in a best of 3 format right now. So this deck list actually comes with a full sideboard that works really well. And you know, I went 5-1 in this standard metagame challenge, so not quite 7 wins, but I think I could still get there with this deck with a little bit of luck. So maybe I'll try it tomorrow, but anyway, let's dive into the deck. So what made me build a mono white control list? Well, it all started with this little card here. Let's put it in the middle. Lay Down Arms, a new card from Brothers War. Single white mana, sorcery, exile target creature with mana value less than or equal to the number of planes you control is control against 3 life. This is just absolute premium removal in standard. You exile the creature for just 1 mana. And the 3 life doesn't really matter if you're a control deck. And the only requirement you have to fulfill is you need to have enough planes. So we play mono white to make sure that we all can always, you know, activate our Lay Down Arms. And my experience has been that generally, once you hit like 4 or 5 planes, you can pretty much remove anything your opponent plays, unless in very rare occasions your opponent plays something like a Titan of Industry, that's a 7-drop, or a Phyrexian Fleshgorger, that's a 7-drop. But generally, once you have 4 or 5 planes, you can remove anything on the board for a single mana and exile it. It's just fantastic removal to run 4 of Lay Down Arms. Then let's take a look at the 2-drop slot. We run 3 copies of Ambitious Farmhand. It's just a way to get a body on the board. Make sure we hit our land drops because we really want to get there for Lay Down Arms and also just curve out really nicely. And actually the Coven ability to transform this into Seasoned Cathar is relevant sometimes because a 3/3 lifelink that we, for example, can give first strike with the Wandering Emperor, it's no joke and can really help us in like situations where we just need that extra life gain. Then we learn to Destroy Evil. You know, deals with the Shielders of this world with some enchantments like Commander Faces Carcassan or Fable of the Mirror Breaker, so it goes for Wander. Then as general removal at 2 mana we also got 3 copies of Fateful Absence, deals with any creature or planeswalker. Sure, your opponent gets to investigate, but we take that deal and we're a grind deck anyway, and we actually have quite a lot of card draw, so we're often able to outdraw our opponent. And one way in which we do that is 4 copies of Ragnar Bandmaster. We actually run 4 copies because we are in mono white, so we need to take every bit of good card draw that we can get, and Ragnar Bandmaster is really good way of doing that. Then at the 3-drop slot we also got a new entry for white, which is 2 copies of Lauren of the Third Path. Fantastic card, really powerful. 3 mana 2/1 Vigilance, it's a legendary creature. When enters the battlefield, you destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment, so it's a Reclamation Sage with Vigilance, but there is more. You can tap it so that you and target opponent each draw a card. Now you might think when you read the last ability that this never comes out because why would you want to give your opponent 3 cards? Well, this actually can matter if you're just digging for answers, because otherwise you might lose the game. And in those scenarios it's actually relevant to draw just this 1 extra card to maybe, you know, find your Fateful Absence or find your Lay Down Arms to just survive and keep going. So Lauren, absolutely fantastic card, and in this format there are a lot of artifacts, enchantments, really good. Then we run 4 copies of Wedding Announcement, right, to just establish a first board presence, and then later in game the Anthem effect is fantastic. And then the 4-drop swap, we also got another new card, which I'm totally in love with, Mirel Shield of Argive. Very cool card, very powerful, 4 mana free for a human soldier. Has the very neat line of text: during your turn, your opponents can cast spells or activate abilities of artifacts, creatures, or enchantments. Very powerful effect, which does two things really. Once Mirel is on the board, on your turn, your spells can be countered, right? So you can just safely play out whatever you want without having to fear any counter spells. And another effect is that if you play Mirel and your opponent does not counter Mirel, and she hits the board, she automatically, for the turn you play to, protects herself, right? So your opponent might hold open some mana for removal, but then you play Mirel and the mana your opponent held open was just for nothing, because he can't play those spells at instant speed anymore. But then there's also a second penalty. Whenever she attacks, create X 1/1 colorless soldier artifact creature token, where X is the number of soldiers you control. So Mirel can just start attacking, and we're just snowballing and making these soldiers. And what's really important is the soldiers just enter the battlefield. They do not enter the battlefield tapped and attacking, which means you can actually hold them back for blocking. And for example, if you put a 1/1 counter and give it first strike with the Wandering Emperor until end of turn, often Mirror can just swing freely and start generating those tokens, getting some damage in, and just a fantastic card. I love it. And by the way, while speaking of the Wandering Emperor, Mirel also, when she attacks, has protection against the Wandering Emperor, right? Because your opponent can play it on your turn. So at least on your turn, you don't need to be afraid that your Mirel is getting exiled by a Wandering Emperor. Then we run 3 copies of the Wandering Emperor, and not much to say there, just a great all-around card. And then we got another 2 new cards from the Rise Sword. 2 copies of Platoon Censorer, 5 mana 4/6 Construct. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 2 or more other creatures, draw a card. So this is another way in this deck to draw cards, and actually pretty reliable, because we get tokens on the board with Wedding Announcement, Emperor. We have these other occasional creatures that we play. And then for 4 mana we can create a soldier just as many times as we want, as long as we have the mana. And then also it has unearth on it, which rarely comes up, but it's just a nice little bonus, right? Because especially the turn you unearth it, it can attack, it can create more soldiers if you like, and then the end step it still draws you that extra card. And 5 mana we also run 2 copies of AO the Dawn Sky. AO also just fantastic. There's probably an argument to be made to run 3 copies of this, because if you get an AO down on turn 5, it's always game winning, or like puts you very far ahead in game. And last but not least, we got 2 copies of Portal to Phyrexia. Now this edition might seem totally random, and you see there's this big gap between 5 mana and 9 mana, but you know, we are in the standard meta where games are very grindy, games go very long, and yes, I just found that Portal of Phyrexia is just a great all-around card that wipes your opponent's board to a certain extent, and can just win you the game by getting your creatures back or getting creatures from opponent. So in most games actually we get to that 9 mana where you can play Portal to Phyrexia, and it's just you know, when the game stalls out, it gets very grindy. This can be the spell that swings the game in our favor. So 2 copies of Portal. And then let's take a look at the land base, because actually there's some stuff to talk about. We run a single copy of Aiganju for some removal, some utility. 19 planes, right? We want to hit those planes drops for our laydown arms. But then we got some utility colorless lands. We got a single copy of Blast Zone. So you can sacrifice Blast Zone for 3 mana to destroy each downland permanent with mana value equal to the number of charge counters on Blast Zone. It enters the battlefield with already a single charge counter on it, and then you can also put additional counters on it. This can situationally be really nice to just remove some key pieces of your opponent. We got a single copy of Hall of Taxin. I put this in here to have a way to ramp basically to the Portal to Phyrexia, because we don't really need more mana after 5 mana. Sure, we have activated abilities for Dispenser or Reckoner Bankbuster, so we mostly find a way to use our mana. But Hall of Taxon is another way. With 4 mana we can create a Power Stone token that will eventually ramp us to Portal to Phyrexia. Then run a single copy of Mishra's Foundry. It's just nice to have a creature land around. Can be useful in some situations. And then very importantly, we want 2 copies of Roadside Reliquary with just some more additional card draw in the deck, because for 2 mana we can sacrifice it and draw a card if you control an artifact, and draw a card if you control an enchantment. And as you can see, we got this nice combo of Wedding Announcement and Reckoner Bankbuster, so most of the time we'll control both an artifact and enchantment, and this way draw 2 cards. And then finally a single copy of Tukas's Digside. Again, when games go grindy, you're really happy to spend that 3 mana, look at the top card of your deck, and just make your draws better. And that's the whole deck right here. So this deck was really fun to play. Hope you guys enjoy the games. The games you see were from the Standard Metagame Challenge, but they are great nonetheless. So hope you guys enjoy the video, and I see you guys soon.
energy of battle, then guide it like water. You are not much of a roadblock. That's it then. Guards, to me! Hope you're ready to lose. Strike fast and strike hard. still have much to learn. I've learned much during my travels. Let me. This is what you get for hurting my people. How we greet our enemies. We must protect the people. See you later. confident? May your blade strike true. Anyone who harms my people must contend with me. My judgment is final. Try not to miss me. Keep watch for intruders. Started this fight, but I'm going to end it. You're done. I have got new moves to teach you. Show them how we greet our enemies. Still have much to learn.